Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another weekend market watch. Today is January 4th, 2025. I hope you all had a fantastic New Year's because I haven't made one of these since obviously New Year's Eve or, between Christmas and then, I should say. Um, and I think this market watch is going to be one of the shortest ones or one of the least like informative ones, I guess, because there's not a ton of just individual things I want to go over. There are some very interesting cards that I want to talk about. But yeah, there's not a lot that we're going to do. So we're just going to do best selling. Not going to do anything high rarity, just going to do the 5 rarities that I always do. If you guys are ever wondering how I just ignore everything else, I set my product type to just cards, and my rarity is just these first 5: secret, rare, ultra, super, and common. The reason I do that is because there's tons of weird in between rarities and special high rarities that just clog up TCG Player, and there's a very small percentage of players that can afford QCRs and Starlight and all that stuff, but a very large majority of players who can afford other things. So I don't like to just look at the high rarity stuff like some market watches do. But let's go ahead and get on into it. Malice White Rabbit is up to $48, almost $50. Unsurprised. I have been saying for a long time, I think Malice is undervalued. I think that people needed time to figure out how to play the deck, what was the best way to play the deck, all kinds of stuff like that. So the fact that it has shot up to about $50 from where it was at $40, not surprised at all. Malice in Underground is holding around 30 to 35. That's where it was last market watch, and I'm not too surprised. This card is important, but it's not as important as White Rabbit. You can play with less Underground. You can't play without as many White Rabbit. So both these cards holding around 50. Well, basically you're looking at $80, $85 for both of them. So, do the math. You're looking at around $250 for a play set of those. Luckily, everything else is pretty cheap. So still not the most expensive deck in the format. The most expensive deck in the format is anything that plays this fucker, Fiendsmith the Engraver. Holding 105 right now. I believe it was 110 last week. I'm not super surprised that this is holding value. It is a very good card. It just is. Basically, any deck where you're looking to compete at a high level, you need to be considering Fiendsmith. It's just too powerful. It pushes through too much. It sets up too much interaction too quickly. All that kind of stuff. Private Lordly Load is up to $50. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys, because it's a $50 secret rare from an active core set. This is a core set that you can still get. There is no other core set. The new core set's coming out in 2 weeks, and even after that, you're still going to be able to get Rage of the Abyss. The fact that it is that expensive is just crazy to me. I get that it's for Blue Eyes. I get that it has a lot of potential. I get that it's getting new support. But I just can't conceive a world in which an engine that you do have to play main deck Garnets in vanillas is this expensive. I mean, I thought we all learned our lesson from Brilliant Fusion, but I guess not. Voltron is down still at around $100. Unsurprised. This will probably keep going down very slowly until the reprint. Honestly, if you have them, just hold on to them. Let me rephrase. If you have a play set of them, hold on to them. If you have a single copy, or maybe you pulled 2, you got really lucky, you might want to consider moving them. But yeah, I'm personally just going to be holding on to mine. I don't think there's any reason for me to move them. Ice Rise yields 25, X Rise yields 25, and Sword Rise yields 20. Not really surprised at all these holding $20. I was talking with a friend of mine at Locals yesterday. Shout out to Alana. I think because Crossover Breakers has so many good so many good cards in it at high rarity. Of the 10 ultras, I believe 9 are playable and 5 are worth more than the value of the pack. And because you have so many good high rarity hits, it's causing them to be worth less because it's not as hard to get something that's worth something, if that makes sense. It's kind of like it kind of sounds almost like trickle down economics, but I don't think it is. It's basically just because there's more good hits, the good hits aren't worth as much, and that's causing them to be not $60 a piece. And that's why I think Malice is more expensive, because there's only two good Malice hits as opposed to three good Ryziel hits. But I digress. Dumbest Impulse is holding $60 right now. I am not sure what to say about this. I love this card. I think this card is really good. Um, this card is just essentially, though, a Ash Blossom 2.0 right now. It's not as good because it can't hit everything. You can't like stop the duo drive from coming down. You can't use it to interrupt the duo drive. You can sometimes use it against Malice, but it's not amazing. Honestly, it's a card that I would hold on to. I'm going to be holding on to mine, but I would not be because I would not be surprised if this is playable later, but it's just not playable right now. Deception of the Sinful Spoils holding 35. It's up a little bit. It's going to go up a little bit more when Suda releases in about 3 weeks, so I would just hold on to it and then sell it off later if you have one. Perulia is 60. Big deal. Most people are guessing that Perulia is going to be released with Fulos, and maybe even the one from Suda is coming out with it, so all three Mulcharmies are going to be in Quarter Century Stampede, which will be nice. Dominus Purge. Okay, the Dominus cards, I wouldn't be super surprised if they were in Quarter Century Stampede. I think it's not a bad idea to put them in. Would I be surprised if they did, though? A little bit. It's not the biggest surprise. It's an Endline Shyamalan twist at this point, but it wouldn't be something I'm expecting them to do. Fiendsmith Tract is $30. A little surprising. Most people are upping this to 2 copies in their deck instead of just 1. I think it's because they realize it's not a terrible card to draw, and they just want more access to the Fiendsmith engine, especially in decks that just can't put up 2 bodies or don't want to get rid of 2 bodies. LZ's 35. It's gone up. I told you guys it was going up. I'll pull this up real quick just so we can look at the price graph. Yep, it was down to 20. It's up to 30 again. Its peak was around $40 back in August, and it's slowly climbing up towards it. Why? Well, I told you guys. White Force support coming out in Suda. LZ is crazy for it. You're going to want LZs if you're going to want to play the new White Forest Azamina deck. It's going up because it's getting closer and closer. I would not be surprised if these hit a new peak when Suda releases, because everyone wants to play, or because there's a lot of people, not everyone, but there's a lot of people that want to play White Forest. Stellar is doing the same thing. It's up from, I think, 12 to 15. Yeah, look, it's up to $16 from 14, almost 12. Not even a month ago, it was $12, $13, and now it's up to 16. So not as big of a price spike, but a price spike nonetheless. Thrust, you're looking at $9 to $10. Looks like, I always hate how the super rare is worth more because people are stupid and they don't realize, oh, ultra rare is like another rarity. So, Ryugi Ultra, $5. Honestly surprised. I think people are kind of over the, oh, Ryugi might be good hype. I think everyone got the Ryugi cards, realized how shit they were, realized that it was not going to be good, maybe even with new support, even with like the most busted support possible. This is not going to do much of anything. And yeah, I'm surprised it's holding $5 right now. I would be more surprised to see it at like 2 or 3. Ulcanex is 10. This is fine. Fire King is really struggling right now without extra copies of Ponix. So I'm not surprised this is only $10. Aggregator 7. It's whatever. Lacrima. I finally picked up a Lacrima last night from my friend Alana, so thank you for that. But this is a card that I think is worth picking up and worth picking up a playset of. It is down right now because people are just playing 3 Engraver and 1 Lacrima in like Ryziel decks. But if there's a deck that comes out where you do want to be normal summoning Lacrima, it's going to be up even more. And you can see that this had a price peak of about $20, price minimum of about $4. It's down to about 13 to 14. I think that is pretty solid. I think it's a pretty good price point to buy it at, especially going forward. I'm assuming, so here's what I'm assuming. Fiendsmith might be the only thing that's reprinted in Quarter Century Stampede. I think they want like Tract and all the other secrets to be in the tins if they're going to keep doing the tins. So I think Lacrima is not going to be reprinted. So I think it will be worth more This might be a $50 secret rare. Come post quarter century Stampede if just Engraver's in there. Rudris is 20. It's a good card. I think it's going to get reprinted in Stampede, so maybe move yours now if you're not playing Yubel or Ryugi. Nightmare Throne, speaking of Yubel, only $14. Honestly, it is still surprising me that this card is so cheap right now. It is a very good card. It is a card that sees play. It is a card that is useful. But yeah, just I guess nobody's playing it. It is up from its minimum, which is about $12. It's up to 15, but this is another set of cards that I think could be in Stampede. I'm not super convinced by it. I think that it's a coin flip. Yubel's popular, but not many people are playing Yubel, but they want to reprint stuff. But it's a tough call. Druce Worm's 15, Ashes 5, Imperm's 7. I mean, this is all pretty clear stuff. Silhouette Rabbit I'll cover. I think this card is getting it's gone down. The hype has ceased, but it's still $15. I think people are realizing this is a good card, but the main deck card in it is just maybe not worth it. But this is going to go up in value possibly because of the new trap. I think it's Argo stores, the trap monster cards, which are really weird. But this card's probably going to go up in that, so I just say hold it if you have it. Packbit. This is a card that was played in Malice because you could dump it and then use the effect to place one of your opponent's cards in their spell trap zone. Really annoying effect for any deck that isn't named Centurion or Snake Eyes. But now that those decks aren't really in the meta anymore, this is pretty good. But it's going down slowly. It had a peak of like $20, $15, $20. It's going down because people are realizing this is a not good card. There's just better ones to send. Widow Anchor from Magnificent Mavens is down to $10. I think it was $15 last week when I covered it. It was very expensive. No, about $10. So it is going down, but I think it's going to be holding a price tag. Same thing with Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon. This thing was like $15, I think. I think this was actually $15. No, okay, only 11. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just thinking everything's 15. I don't know why. I'm not a Smash player, but this thing is going down. Again, people were hyping up Red Eyes, but then they realized you only need one of this card, so kind of fell off. Chaos Angels 40, Raging Phoenix is 17. Honestly, not super surprised. This card is not doing anything now that Snake Eyes is not playable. Typhon's 30, honestly, really good card. It sort of deals with Ryzeal, but it really doesn't. It lets you break the Ryzeal board pretty easily because you just bounce Detonator, crash into the Duo Drive if they still have it. But it's pretty bad. It's not always good. Nightmare Apprentice is 25. I would be surprised if this wasn't in the Quarter Century Stampede. Seventh Ascension from Tools from the Deep is 23. Again, I'd be surprised if this wasn't in Stampede. Tenpai Dragon Pydra's 8. I mean, I guess you could pick it up if you wanted to be a Tenpai player, but most people don't. Talents is up to $10. Talents is really good this format. I can't really say anything else. Both Detonator and Duo Drive are $3. Not surprising. They're not that great. Well, they're great, but you don't need that many, so. Heart of Blue Eyes is 7. A little surprising to me. This card is not particularly good. I think it's like okay in Blue Eyes and fine in the Millennium deck, but I don't think you're doing either. Imseti's 25. That's fine. Bone Party's 20. I mean, I think people are kind of over Memento right now. It's a good deck for sure, but I think people are just over it. I think people are over the long, annoying combo lines that just kind of sort of do nothing forever and then somehow end on a board. It's also pretty bad right now because Lancea is pretty good against this deck, and it's being played in every side deck for Malice right now. So yeah, not super convinced about this. Black Gold Laughs is 20. Nobody's playing it, but it makes sense. Lows, I would be I would be in the same boat on low for being in Stampede as Lacrima. I wouldn't be super surprised, but I wouldn't be I wouldn't be expecting it. Anything else here that's worth covering? I guess Lubellion's here. They're up to about 30. I think people are toying around with Bestial Malice more because you can do stuff on your opponent's turn. These were down to 11, which is crazy, but they're back up to about 25, 30. So this is the OG secret, I'm guessing. Yeah, these are pretty close in price. So that's important to know. Other than that, let's see. Surf Divine Dragon. I guess this is a card if you have just like 2017 bulk. Maybe you might have some of these. They're from the Mega Pack. They're about $15. They're considering playing it in Blue Eyes. Same thing with Crimson Dragon. Uh, I'm not sure that it'll be like game defining, but it's going to be one of those cards you probably just want to have. We didn't need to do that. Let's see. Phantom View Bell's down to $10. That's crazy. I kind of want to see what the ultis are at. But if I do this, they're probably not going to show me the ultis. Nope. Okay. How much are the Ultimate Rare Phantom View Bells? Because I do have a copy of that. And I guarantee you it's probably like, it might even be less because it's just so bad. Yeah, it is. It's 9. Oh my god, that's terrible. Terrible. Okay. Yeah, if you want to play Yubel, you only need one of this, so you might as well just pick up the ulti. It looks worse than the secret, but I guess maybe it'll hold more value. Who knows? It's so weird once you get into these like decks that are so past their prime. Shining Sarcophagus is 15. I'm surprised about that. That's genuinely surprising to me. Turrets is 10. You need it for Malice. Unicorn is 10. You need it for any kind of rogue deck, I guess. There's not a lot you need this for. I mean, honestly, everything else here is kind of like been where it's at. Abyss Megalos still holding its $60 price tag. Feels bad. Last page here. Yeah, nothing looks too different. I think the only thing that's different right here is Masterpiece, because since it came off the list in Master Duel, it spiked up a little bit, and then it immediately dropped off to like $17 from like 22, so it dropped about $5. And I think that's because, and there's even cheaper printing. There's $10 printings right now on TCG Player. I think that's because one, people are assuming it's going to come off the list, and if it does come off the list, it's probably going to be in Quarter Century Stampede. So, and even if it's not, even if it doesn't come off the list, it might just be in the legacy pool because people love True Dracos. I hate them. I think this is a very annoying deck, but people love this deck. So, I guess that's why this is selling. I guess I don't know. That's all from the best selling of the week. There's one thing I want to cover real quick because I saw it and I thought it was hilarious. I'm not sure if anyone else has looked at this, but this card, Maple Maiden, I believe it is the common printing. Somebody bought, or is it 2,000 copies of Maple Maiden for 1 cent. Now, I don't know who this is. I really don't. I don't know what their game is. I don't know if they're trying to wallpaper a room. I don't know if they're trying to do anything funny with them. I don't know if it's just like, well, it's a cent, so it's $20. I did the math. It's $20 for the whole 2,000 of them. So if they go up to 10 cents, you're making a decent amount of money back. But I read this card and I'm just like, I could not imagine what scenario this would be good in. If this card is special summon, declare an attribute. This card gains the following effect. All face-up monsters become that attribute. You can target one monster in your opponent's main monster zone. Your opponent must send one card from among its adjacent monster or spell trap zones to the graveyard. That's like a terrible effect. Like, do they not realize that? Like, adjacent monster zones means that I think it has to be right next to it. So if it's either like right next to it in monster zones or right below it. So you'd have to target a card next to the card you want to get rid of. But if your opponent has a card in their spell trap zone, then they can just get rid of that instead and keep the monster, or vice versa. And the only thing that somebody mentioned to me that it doesn't even make a lot of sense, because why would you bother with that, is because it gives all face-up monsters that attribute. Protoss, like, plus this is kind of weird. It's kind of like I think it's kind of like DNA transplant or DNA surgery, whichever one. Plus Protoss. I think that's the way they're looking at. They tried to like justify it, and I just thought of that, and I'm like, why? Why would you bother doing that? Why would you invest all that resources just to like sort of kind of not really lock your opponent out of the game when you already know what type of attribute they're playing for Protoss? I don't know. That's a weird. This is a weird choice. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I think that pretty much everything has been pretty steady. So I think that's going to be it for today's Market Watch. It actually was a pretty long one, about 20 minutes. So sorry for that. If anyone wanted a little bit more in-depth Market Watch, hopefully there will be some more interesting things happening next week, or especially when Suda releases. We might be getting reveals or leaks for Suda pretty soon here. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, comment, all that stuff, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.